Welcome to another video, and today I want to talk about how I do my own very own Marvel Universe. Okay, so there is a Marvel Cinematic Universe, and this is and yeah, it's been big, it's been doing well, it's gone on for what, 15 years? Wow, it's crazy. But it's not perfect. It's far from perfect. Even though like a lot of people, it's like the golden standard of cinematic universes. And this is what I would have done with my own Marvel universe. And a part of what makes this different from the actual Marvel Cinematic Universe is that we have all the rights to like Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, X-Men. This is like an alternate universe where like we had the rights to everything. So yeah. Okay, so Phase 1. So the first movie of Phase 1 will be Fantastic Four. And Fantastic Four, they're like Marvel's first family. So I think they should definitely be like, they're like the first big Marvel characters. And I think they were the first characters that were created by Stan Lee, or, well, Stan Lee didn't really create. I guess he's credited for him, but like, Jack Kirby did a lot too. So yeah, this movie will be an origin story, and in this movie, so it'll show like them going into space and them getting their powers, and the Reed and Sue, they'll be married in this, so we don't have to like you know we'll already have them be married out of the gate. Johnny, he's still gonna be in like high school, like he's a teenager. Ben Grimm, he'll meet Alicia Masters, who like is his wife in the comics, and uh, the main villain of this movie will be the Mad Thinker. He wants to take down like the Fantastic Four or whatever, and the Fantastic Four has to stop him. Also, I want to have like Mole Man be like kind of working for Mad Thinker as like kind of a secondary villain. So, and also in this movie, we will see Reed Richards buy the Baxter Building, which the team will use like as their like base. Also, for the Fantastic Four movie, Doctor Doom will show up in a post-credit scene. Okay, so the second movie is Spider-Man, who is, Marvel's kind of golden boy, like the biggest Marvel character, one of the most popular superheroes. This will be like another origin story. Peter Parker is going to be in high school, but he's going to be like a senior. And in this movie, Uncle Ben, we see Uncle Ben die, obviously. His supporting cast, like Aunt May, obviously, and Harry Osborn is going to be his best friend. Gwen Stacy is going to be like the love interest of the movie, and we'll see Peter Parker get bit by the radioactive spider at Oscorp. The main villain of this movie will be the Vulture, kind of like Spider-Man Homecoming, but kind of want to change that. You know how in Spider-Man Homecoming it was like Tony Stark screwed over the Vulture? Well, in this I want to change it so that it was Norman Osborn who screwed over the Vulture. And then like the Vulture wants revenge on Norman Osborn, and he tries to kill him, but like Spider-Man has to save him. And then like the secondary villains could be like the Shocker, the Beetle, and the Rhino. And we'll also see like Peter Parker get a job like working for J. Jonah Jameson at the Daily Bugle. So the next movie will be X-Men. And the team will consist of Professor X, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Beast, Wolverine, Storm, and Colossus. They'll be going up against Magneto and the Brotherhood of Mutants, who will consist of Magneto, obviously, Mystique, Toad, Pyro, and Rogue. And yeah, Rogue will be a villain in this movie, but she'll become good by the end and join the X-Men and betray Magneto. Wolverine, Storm, and Colossus are new recruits, while Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Beast have already been original members, kind of like the comics. And Iceman and Angel will also be like former X-Men members, but they won't be a part of the team. Like they'll have cameos in the movie. We'll also see like Professor X, try to reach out to Magneto because they were friends and like try to get him to join their side. And we'll also see flashbacks of like Charles and Eric meeting for the first time. So the next movie will be Hulk. Like Bruce Banner, like accident, gamma radiation becomes the Hulk. Rick Jones will be in this movie as like Hulk's friend slash sidekick, and he'll be the first person to learn that Bruce Banner is Hulk, and he'd help him out. Betty Ross will be a love interest, and General Ross, he's not going to be of the villain, but he'll be an antagonist who's trying to like stop the Hulk, and the main villain will be Abomination. General Ross was the one who turns Emil Oblonsky into Abomination. That's going to be in the movie, and both Bruce Banner and Rick Jones are working for General Ross, like who's like, even though he's trying to stop the Hulk, they're kind of like, coming from the inside,
What did you say, nigga?
Next movie is Captain America, and this will probably be pretty much the same as like First Avenger, and but I don't know, some differences like to more fit it with this universe and less like the MCU. Like I'd make Bucky a bit more comic accurate by like making him a child and like Captain America's sidekick, and I'd also, instead of the Howling Commandos, I'd like use the Invaders. Next movie is Daredevil. In this movie, we see Matt Murdock and Foggy Nelson start the law firm Nelson and Murdock, and we'll also see like Karen Page like meeting Matt Murdock and like them becoming like a couple. Kingpin will be the villain. Matt Murdock is working a case against Wilson Fisk while Daredevil is like disrupting Kingpin's crimes. We'll also see flashbacks of Stick first training Matt. Matt's also like, he also goes to like the boxing ring where his dad had his like matches. Matt will train there. Ben Urich, he finds out that Matt Murdock is Daredevil and is gonna write a story exposing him, but decides not to when Daredevil saves him from one of Kingpin's crews. Okay, so the final movie of Phase 1 will be Spider-Man 2. And in this movie, Peter, Gwen, and Harry are now in Empire State University, and Spider-Man meets this scientist who he really looks up to, called Otto Octavius, and he's gonna be like a mentor figure to Peter Parker. But like, yeah, obviously he turns into the Doctor Octopus and is like the villain of the movie, while Doctor Octopus is the main villain. Like two side villains will be Electro and Sandman. We can also have Mysterio show up in the beginning where like Spider-Man stops him. Also introduce Mary Jane Watson, and she'll, since Peter's with Gwen now, like right during this time, she's Mary Jane Watson will be with Harry Osborn. And also in this movie, Oscorp is working with Otto Octavius on a scientific discovery, like kind of like the one in the actual Spider-Man 2. But like in this one, it's like Norman Osborn who's working with Doctor Octopus instead of Harry Osborn. The experiment goes wrong, and then like they shut down the project, and then but Doctor Octopus wants to continue the project, and then he goes crazy. The first movie of Phase 2 will be a sequel to Fantastic Four, which will be called Fantastic Four: The Tide of Atlantis. And in this movie, the Fantastic Four will discover Atlantis, and they'll also discover like the King of Atlantis, Namor, who will be the main villain of the movie. And he wants to go to war against the Fantastic Four, and he kidnaps Sue Storm. The only way he will make peace with the Fantastic Four is if they let him marry Sue Storm, which obviously they're not going to allow since that's Reed Richards' wife. And Herbie is introduced as Reed's robot lab assistant. Atuma and Namora will be secondary villains. They'll be like Namor's right hand, like in command, kind of like how they were in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. And the movie will end with Namor agreeing to not attack the Fantastic Four if like the U.S. government leaves Atlantis alone. So at the end, they have kind of a peace treaty. So yeah, we'll do a reference to Wakanda, and that will set up a Black Panther movie coming Phase 3. Ooh. And we'll have a post-credit scene where Namor talks to Doctor Doom, and Doctor Doom kind of wants to team up with Namor to fight the Fantastic Four, and Namor's kind of he is now like neutral with the Fantastic, so he doesn't really want to like disturb the peace. So okay, next movie is Iron Man. It'll go a lot like the actual Iron Man movie, but there's some changes. So like when Tony Stark is kidnapped by the Ten Rings, this Ten Rings is led by the Mandarin, who is the main villain of the movie, and AIM is going to be introduced also, and it's working with Stark Industries on a project called MODOK. But Tony Stark calls it off like once he like sees like he doesn't want to make weapons anymore, and so the owner of AIM, George Tarleton, he's pissed since like this could have been a big deal. So then he finds out about the Mandarin, the guy who kidnapped Tony Stark, and then he tells the Mandarin of the location of where Tony Stark is. So then like Tony Stark has to fight the Mandarin. But then like he beats the Mandarin, and then the Mandarin is arrested by Shield, and Nick Fury, he has a talk to Iron Man just like in the actual movie. Okay, next movie is a sequel to X-Men called X-Men Mutant Genocide. So the team, it consists of like the same members from like the first movie, if you remember, but added like Rogue, who became a member of the team in the first movie, Gambit, and Nightcrawler. Magneto, he teams up with the X-Men for like against like the bigger threat, which is Stryker. He wants to like kill all the mutants, and he's using the Sentinels to hunt down mutants all over the world. Nightcrawler is hiding from the Sentinels, like who are like hunting him down. But like Nightcrawler, he's like teleporting away. But like the X-Men find him, and then like they help him out. So working with Stryker will be Trask, who is like building Sentinels. Master Mold, who's gonna be a secondary villain, he's gonna be like the head of the Sentinels. Okay, next movie is Thor, and in this movie, after finding out that Loki is adopted, he goes to Jotunheim to meet like the frost giants, and then Thor he like tries to go to Jotunheim, but he goes to Earth instead, and then he meets Jane Foster, and he like falls in love with her while he's on Earth, Loki and the Frost Giants attack Asgard. And then at the end of the movie, Thor kind of loses his trust in his father. His father, like, lied to Loki and, like, lied to Thor also. Next movie is Hulk 2. The main villain will be the leader, Samuel Stearns, who is working for AIM. George Tarleton, who, remember from Iron Man, he supplies him with gamma radiation. Samuel Stearns, he uses the gamma radiation to turn himself into the leader, and like his head gets bigger, and General Ross, he's still like against the Hulk. And then Bruce Banner is like using like coping strategies to like not Hulk out. Betty Ross finds out that Bruce Banner is Hulk, and then she tries to help him. The leader, he mind controls Rick Jones and uses him like against the Hulk. At the end of the movie, the Hulk will be seen by the public as a hero and not a monster. Okay, so the next movie is Spider-Man 3. So in this movie, Norman Osborn has finally injected himself with the Goblin formula, and he becomes the Green Goblin, and he goes like crazy. Like he kills Gwen Stacy, and like he finds out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and he attacks Aunt May, and he's also wants to get revenge on the people who screwed over like Norman Osborn, and who are Spencer Smythe and Silvermane. We'll also introduce Connors as a scientist at Oscorp. Rhino and Sandman will like return to like fight Spider-Man again, and then Hammerhead and Boomerang will also be like secondary villains. At the end, like Spider-Man like fights the Green Goblin, but Green Goblin he overdoses himself in Goblin formula, and then like that that kills him. And at the end, Harry Osborn swears revenge against Spider-Man because he blames him for his father's death. We'll have a post-credit scene of Peter Parker getting the symbiote suit. So the next movie is Captain America New World. So after 70 years in ice, Captain America has been unfrozen by S.H.I.E.L.D. and Nick Fury explains to Steve Rogers what has happened to him. Captain America is now a soldier for S.H.I.E.L.D. He has to adjust to like this modern era. So George Tarleton, remember from Iron Man and Hulk 2, he finds the robot body that contains like the conscious of former Hydra scientist Arnim Zola, and so AIM helps Arnim Zola with like experiments, and like he helps Arnim Zola, who like has a plan to get revenge on Captain America. Captain America will meet Sharon Carter and will also have mentions to Iron Man and Hulk. We'll see that Shield is actually it's starting like the Avengers Initiative, and AIM's reputation goes down the drain after people find out that, they were helping out a Nazi. So the next movie is Ant-Man, and in this movie, instead of like, how in the actual Ant-Man movies they use Scott Lang, we're gonna use Hank Pym as Ant-Man, and Janet Van Dyne will be the Wasp. So Hank and Janet are married in this movie, and Hank is a scientist who is working on a discovery called Pym particles that allows someone to be able to decrease the size of organisms. And Hank also finds a way to communicate with ants. But there is a former colleague of Hank Pym, Elisa Starr, aka Egghead, who is like jealous of Hank Pym, and he wants to manipulate Hank's army of ants. Egghead is also working for AIM, and we'll also meet like Bill Foster, who's like a colleague working for Hank and Janet. And the final battle has Ant-Man and the Wasp battle like the Scarlet Beetle, who Egghead like has created. We'll have a post-credit scene where George Tarleton becomes MODOK. So the next movie is Daredevil Part 2. So the main villain of this movie is Bullseye, and in this movie, Matt's former lover, Elektra, comes to Hell's Kitchen. In this movie, Kingpin is now in prison. Punisher will also be introduced in this movie, and he's out on the streets killing criminals. Nelson and Murdoch have to like defend the Punisher, but we'll also see like a fight between Daredevil and Punisher because like they have conflicting ideas. And Matt also finds out that Elektra was trained by Stick the entire time, and he confronts Stick about it. Even though Wilson Fisk is in jail, he sends Bullseye to try to kill Daredevil. Bullseye, he's like insane. Like he kills both Ben Urich and Elektra, and then this pisses off Daredevil, and Daredevil gets so mad that he almost beats Bullseye to death. So the final movie and what like this phase has led up to is the Avengers. The team will consist of Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, Thor, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Nick Fury, he's the one who brings the Avengers together. The main villain will be MODOK. Yeah, MODOK wants revenge on like all of the Avengers because like each of them except for Thor kind of they've like ruined his plans, and then like MODOK wants AIM to become the biggest science corporation in the world, and MODOK he attacks S.H.I.E.L.D. and steals the cosmic cube from them and uses it like for AIM. The Avengers will come together to defeat MODOK. The final battle will have like the Avengers fighting like an army of weaponized AIM soldiers who have like stolen Stark tech. And then the post-credit scene will tease Thanos. This phase will also have some TV shows. TV shows we'll have is Luke Cage, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Iron Fist, also have a Nova show. Okay, so the first movie of Phase 3 is gonna be Black Panther. The movie will start with like the death of T'Challa's dad. He's killed by Ulysses Claw because like he wants Wakanda to give him vibranium. T'Chaka wouldn't like allow him to, so Claw kills T'Chaka. After he dies, T'Challa travels to America and Europe to study. T'Challa comes back to Wakanda, which is being ruled by his uncle Cyan. T'Challa challenges him to the throne and wins and becomes the ruler of Wakanda and the king. But his uncle Cyan is still like an ally helping T'Challa. And T'Challa, he wants revenge on Claw for what he did to his father. And T'Challa also finds out that he has a sister who was born like shortly after his father's death, who his mother was pregnant with before he died. and like he didn't know about. Claw comes back to Wakanda with this time he has like a sonic robotic like arm, and then he comes to steal vibranium. Black Panther, he defeats Claw, but he decides not to kill him, and he gets put in like a Wakandan prison. Okay, so the next movie is Fantastic Four Doom. The main villain of this movie is going to be Doctor Doom. The movie starts with a flashback of Victor Von Doom and Reed Richards meeting in college. Doctor Doom blames Reed Richards for a science experiment the two were working on that caused Doom's face to get scarred. He's been plotting like this whole revenge scheme on him. Doom kidnaps the rest of the Fantastic Four, except for Reed, which leads Reed to Latveria. The Fantastic Four have to fight like an army of Doombots. Namor and the Atlanteans, they come to help the Fantastic Four fight Doom in the final battle on Latveria. Doom escapes after the Fantastic Four turn the people of Latveria against him. And at the end of the movie, Reed finds out that Sue is pregnant. Okay, so the next movie is Iron Man 2. And in this movie, Tony Stark, he's going through like a drinking problem, kind of like Demon in the Bottle. We're gonna kind of adapt that a bit. Rhodey will become War Machine in this movie. Justin Hammer, he's gonna be the main villain of this movie, and Black Widow and Hawkeye are gonna be side villains who are working for Justin Hammer. And so what happens is Black Widow seduces Tony Stark and steals his tech to give to Justin Hammer, which Hammer uses to make his own Iron Man suits for Hammer Industries. In the end, Black Widow and Hawkeye become good and help Iron Man and War Machine take down Justin Hammer. And the post-credit scene, we'll see Nick Fury recruit Black Widow and Hawkeye. So the next movie is X-Men Sins of Sinister. So the team will consist of Cyclops, Jean Grey, Wolverine, Storm, Nightcrawler, Rogue, Gambit, and Kitty Pryde. Yeah, and Kitty Pryde, she's introduced as a student at Xavier's school who joins the X-Men. And Mr. Sinister, he's the villain of this movie, and he kidnaps Xavier, Magneto, and Jean Grey because they're like some of the most powerful mutants, and he wants to like use and manipulate their DNA. The Morlocks will also appear in this movie. Bishop and Cable, they'll also appear. They're from the future, and they're like both of them want to preserve the time, like their timelines, but they both have like different ideas to it since they're from different futures. The post-credit scene of this movie, we will see Apocalypse kill Mr. Sinister. The next movie is Thor: Tales of Asgard. Enchantress will be the main villain of this movie, and Scourge and Curse will be secondary villains. Enchantress sends Scourge to kill Jane Foster. She wants to kill Jane Foster and marry Thor. After like Scourge like attempts to kill Jane Foster, Thor takes her to Asgard and has the Warriors 3 and Lady Sif protect her. This movie will mainly take place in Asgard. Enchantress has Frigga killed, so Thor and Loki team up. At the end of the movie, Odin exiles Enchantress out of Asgard, and she will end up on Earth. So the next movie is World War Hulk. In this movie, we find out that after the events of the Avengers movie, Hulk was sent to space by S.H.I.E.L.D. because they thought he was too dangerous. In this movie, Hulk is trying to get back on Earth, and we'll also introduce She-Hulk. And in this movie, General Ross will turn himself into the Red Hulk and be the main villain of this movie. Rick Jones also gets turned into A-Bomb. Hulk is in Sakaar, and he teams up with Korg, Meek, Jarella, Rocket Raccoon, Syra, Hirom, and Eloy Kiffy. This movie will also introduce Grandmaster. While Hulk's in Sakaar, She-Hulk, A-Bomb, and Doc Samson are like taking care of Bruce Banner's business. And the post-credit scene will tease Scar. So the next movie will be Spider-Man 4. Spider-Man has the symbiote suit now, and he's more angrier, and Black Cat is introduced, and she's going to be the love interest of the movie. And we'll also introduce Eddie Brock, who's working in the Daily Bugle. And also in this movie, Kurt Connors will become the Lizard. The main villain of this movie, Kraven, he wants to hunt down the Lizard, and he wants to hunt down Spider-Man. Spider-Man is trying to protect Kurt Connors from Kraven. Kraven, he's going to bury Spider-Man alive, just like in the comic Kraven's Last Hunt. Chameleon and Scorpion are going to be secondary villains. After realizing like what the symbiote suit is doing to him, Spider-Man takes off the suit. He takes the symbiote to the Fantastic Four so they can study it. Like at the end of the movie, Peter will break up with Felicia, aka Black Cat, and then he'll get with MJ. We'll have a post-credit scene that shows Eddie Brock getting the symbiote suit. Next movie is Wolverine, and this takes place when Wolverine is being experimented on by Weapon X. The main villain of this movie will be Sabretooth, and this movie will get a lot of flashbacks of Logan and Sabretooth fighting in wars. After Logan escapes Weapon X. Weapon X sends Sabretooth to go after Logan. We'll also get a cameo from Captain America in this movie. Omega Red and Wendigo will be secondary villains in the movie. So the next movie is Captain America: Return of Hydra. So in this movie, Zemo wants revenge on Captain America because he blames him for the death of his father. Captain America finds out that Hydra has been secretly infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. It is also revealed that who Zemo is actually working for is the Red Skull, who was brought back by AIM. Viper, Crossbones, and the Winter Soldier are secondary villains. MODOK will also have a cameo in this movie, and Black Widow will also appear in this movie. Sam Wilson, who was introduced in Captain America New World, like the last Captain America movie, will become Falcon in this movie. So the next movie is Ant-Man and the Wasp. And in this movie, Hank finds a way to use Pym particles to make himself bigger. He finds out how to become Giant Man. Bill Foster will also become Goliath, a mysterious supervillain who calls himself the Yellow Jacket, who has the same powers as Ant-Man but more advanced, appears. And Yellow Jacket kidnaps Wasp and tries to marry her. And so the twist of the movie is that Yellow Jacket is actually Hank Pym from the future who went mad after the death of Janet. Whirlwind will be a minor villain in the movie. This movie will have a post-credit scene teasing the creation of Ultron. So the next movie is Daredevil Part 3. In this movie, Kingpin finally gets out of prison, and just like in the events of the story Daredevil Born Again, Karen Page will sell Daredevil's identity to Kingpin. So Kingpin finds out that Matt Murdock is Daredevil, so what he does is burn down his house. Matt realizes that his secret identity is revealed. He goes into hiding. So Kingpin hires Typhoid Mary to kill Matt Murdock. And Spider-Man will also appear to help Daredevil fight against the Kingpin. And the Owl, Nuke, and Stiltman will be secondary villains. So the last movie of Phase 3 will be Avengers Assemble. So in this movie, the Avengers team will consist of Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Ant-Man, the Wasp, Black Panther, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Falcon, and War Machine. They will be going up against the Masters of Evil, who will consist of Zemo, the Mandarin, Enchantress, Egghead, and Claw. And the Masters of Evil will take over S.H.I.E.L.D. and hold Nick Fury hostage. And what we learn is that Doctor Doom is the leader of the Masters of Evil and brought all the villains together. So the Fantastic Four, Namor, Spider-Man, and Daredevil help out the Avengers in the third act. And at the end of the movie, the Masters of Evil all get defeated by the Avengers and they get arrested by S.H.I.E.L.D. and Doctor Doom teleports away. So this phase will also have TV shows. So the TV shows will be a Jessica Jones show, a show about the Punisher, a Moon Knight show, a Spider-Man 2099 show, and the New Mutants. So that was the entire MCU. Did phase 1, 2, and 3. All done. So yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed. I also have a series about the DCU where I made my own like phase 1, 2, and 3 of that. So yeah, I did this. Now Marvel. I have an idea for what I want to do for Phase 4, 5, and 6 of DCU, but I might not upload it till later. But yeah, we'll see. Goodbye.